Hi guys, I hope it's streaming now. I need to check, how it is like technical stuff. So I'm going to check that it is live. Where am I? Okay, great. It's doing great. And I need to check that it's a public post. All right. Hi, welcome to another episode of me talking to guests from all over Asia. So, um, let me see. If you're watching it, please hit the heart button and say hi on the comments. Yep. Let me see. Hey, Bhavani. Hi. How are you doing? Okay, let me start proper. All right, guys. So today's topic is very interesting. Let's start. It's all about talking about mistakes in life, right? So we all make mistakes in life. Maybe you have made a mistake that are so big that you think you will have to carry that mistake for the rest of your life, and that can be really painful. Today, I have a wonderful guest. She's waiting for me to bring her into the studio. So she's all the way from Philippines. So let's put her into the live stream. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Dean. How are you?
Hi, guys. So, I want to introduce to you a wonderful woman, Tony Miranda, coming all the way from Philippines. So, Tony, say hi to all my friends and to your friends too on on Facebook.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, okay. So let me introduce her. Tony Miranda is a certified international image coach and a transformational coach based in the Philippines. And that transformational is a big thing because I heard your story, Tony, and it's amazing, right? So let's get right into it. So, Tony, about up to 3 years, you were saying up to 3 years ago, anyone who knew you would consider you as like this alpha female, highly successful business woman. So you projected really powerful and really strong person, but you told me that you're carrying a lot of guilt, shame, and fear all the while. So why is that?
I needed to do that because I was actually living a dual life. When I
Wow.
say yes, and a dual life is really not easy to do. You need to carry a facade that you are someone that is approvable to everyone, which is
Ah,
successful looking, beautiful looking, and joyful looking. But in reality, the reason why I need to carry a different facade is because I'm not proud of my past. My past actually created that guilt and shame that I had been carrying. It is an experience from childhood and even during my uh, young adult experiences, up to even when I got married. I made
wow.
a lot of wrong choices that I'm not proud of.
So maybe if it is okay, could you share with us what are some of these wrong choices and what entailed from there?
Okay, when I was younger, since I live in a dysfunctional family, who
Okay.
I have somehow developed some coping skills that will help me temporarily fill in my emptiness because I experienced a lot of unmet desires, such as not having validation, not having the
Mm.
attention of our parents. Small things like that I thought was okay, but actually it is already hurting me deep inside. Like no time for my school activities, no affirmation and everything. So it distorted my view of myself. It
You
has
know, I
distorted.
so I just want to interrupt you a bit there. You mentioned you are from a dysfunctional family.
Yes.
That takes a lot of courage for you to just say it out in public, that that word, right? Because a lot of us could relate that to our family, but we just keep it inside. So what gave you the courage to actually come out? And I'm sure you did not just say this, you're not just saying this now, but you're also saying it on stage. That's what I remember you saying, right? You talk about this. So Where did this courage come from?
The courage is coming from the knowledge that I have to accept the nature of my family,
Mm,
because that nature of my family has actually affected everything, my thoughts, which we all know that our thoughts are very strong. So
absolutely.
if we are not thinking the right way, it actually affects our emotions, and our emotions will eventually affect all our choices, which did affect all my choices before. And only when I came to the point that I have accepted what I have been aware of, meaning I was aware already that
Mm,
something is not the same, meaning our family situation is not the same as I see others, or the situation of others,
wow.
like my
Okay.
classmates, and the
But
denial.
that's very powerful that you have come to a point where you are aware enough to acknowledge it, right? And you were saying again, can you carry on, please?
I was aware, however,
Hmm.
I think I have denied it. And I lived in years denying that I am actually experiencing a dysfunctional nature of our family. So that denial led me to different various coping skills are good. However, what happened to me is I did it again and again. For example,
Mm,
simple coping skills like, early relationship. You see, the relationship before feels will make us feel that we are accepted, that
ah,
we belong. What else? School activities. So I made sure that I'm full of different extracurricular activities, and now I see home, or I see family, as just not the priority that will fill in my emptiness. I see them as just a companion, or a place to go home to.
I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to. So you're saying that when we don't get that emotional connection, the emotional fulfillment in our family, we start to look for it outside elsewhere. And yours happen to be what your extracurricular activities, being good in your school, right? And you are an
Yes,
excellent student, I heard. So it seems like from the outside, when you see someone who's very successful, you tend to envy them because they're
correct.
so motivated and driven, but there's a story behind all this, right? And yours is one of that story, right?
Yes, there's always a story. And what sad thing about my childhood, and probably the same with others' childhood, is
Mhm.
while you are going through that story, you also get to have a distorted view of who you are, of
Mm.
your self confidence, or maybe we call it self worth, and also the distorted view of the things around us, like leadership, like the real meaning of success, the real meaning of happiness. And mine, I it got distorted. That's why I was following a wrong path to success, and maybe I can call it, I was chasing the wind. And I got really tired and got trapped in a crazy cycle, because
Oh,
that
yeah.
distort
So carry on, please.
so
Go ahead.
that distorted view actually is just like a never ending contentment.
Could you just share with me? I just want to know what was your perspective on leadership, on success at that time?
Okay, my perspective of leadership and success was very materialistic. It's about fame. It's about being with the prominent people, famous
Ah,
people. It's about having the best material things like cars, properties, and branded materials.
branded materials.
And the success also is about having a lot of positions, like in association. So those are the distorted view that I had. And I thought there are really those who are in the lower class and in the higher class, meaning as an image consultant, there are those who are ugly and there are those who are just luckily beautiful, who really make it to the top, both academically and professionally.
So you seem to have you had in the past that you looked at people and you kind of judged them for how they look and their social economic status. Is that right?
Yes, and that's why it gave me a burden that I have to be that person, or I have to look better. I have to try and try again
So
until
because
I
you don't want to
I have
be
an
that lower standard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In short, I don't want to be poor because I see the rich people to be the ones becoming successful, and I perceive them to be happy. I perceive them to be peaceful.
So to you, happiness comes with wealth.
Yes.
All right. So I interrupt you before. You were talking about your sins, all the mistakes that you did. Maybe you can share with us some major one that you're comfortable sharing.
Okay. Since I got involved into early relationship when I was 13, I got vulnerable. So I committed abortion for that. And then
Wow.
afterwards, it created in me um, an intense guilt and shame that
Wow.
made me have a very strong mindset that I need to be rich, I need to be successful so I can
Mm,
recover my reputation. And that has actually dictated everything from high school to college. It has changed my decisions, my choices when it comes to
mm,
what course do I take in the university and what activities will I take. So I did not literally enjoy my childhood because I was actually trying to work already, like making money out of small businesses.
mm. And all these expectations that you put on yourself, it really came from inside. No one was asking you to be successful, right? Like your
Yes.
family were not like demanding that you're successful.
There's already like a mindset being created in a subtle way,
Mm,
like when you grow up you have to be at this age. There's like my the words that are coming from, especially from my dad, has actually been embedded, like it's just there in my system that I cannot waste time. I have to be like within this age, I need to be a supervisor. It's the repetitive words that I heard when I was younger, not only from my dad,
ah,
but I also hear that from other successful people because there's something that happened when I was younger, Din. We actually had challenges financially. So apart from this dysfunctional nature, I believe I have already created a very strong mindset that I don't want to become poor because I have associated being poor to not being comfortable, not being ethical, and not being successful.
wow.
So now, as a child, I have aspired how to become rich. So I have interviewed people, I have observed successful people, and there's this one common thing about them. They are famous, they are working hard, and they look sociable, they look neat. And whether I've searched it or not, that time since I was younger, I aspired to become that person. I aspired to become
Ah,
famous, I aspired to be accepted, I aspired to be at least beautiful, ethical, and yeah, rich, you know.
yeah. I think when you watch a lot of those reality shows, they also give off that impression that you're happy when you're rich, right? It's
Yes,
okay.
and that has distorted my view of life, that this one is the what we need to do to be happy. When we're poor, it's uncomfortable. You don't get the opportunity.
So you seem to be, you were so afraid of being poor. Uh, what was your family status like? Were they poor or were they rich? What was it like before?
We're not really that poor, but we experienced that state of really having financial crisis when my mom got sick of kidney disease.
Ah,
So I've seen the difference, the disparity of how the one side of my relatives are living comfortably, and I've
that's right.
seen also how a family, or even the attitude, even the manners, are how they are different. When I'm not judging any state of life here, but that's my experience. I've seen that it is not good. They're not groomed. Their attitude is like always like shouting and angry. And
Ah,
when I
so
was young,
they were not gracious. They were not graceful, right?
and
Yeah.
yes, and that has created a mindset that if I'm poor, maybe I'll become like that, which I don't like.
Okay.
But if I'm
So
poor, I will become successful and graceful and ethical.
So, friends, I'm talking to you now as you're watching. What if you have come in later? Tony is describing how she was before, not how she is now. Okay, so don't get the wrong impression. Okay, so so you went on and you said you also did a lot of other mistakes. You want to share with us that?
Yes, so since I am coming already from a mistake, I'm trying to recover that, meaning I'm trying to reverse that, probably with another mistake. I wasn't aware it's
Mm.
another mistake. What was that? Well, those are the unforgiveness. I decided to make sure I will not be belittled. I make sure that I will become somebody so I can prove those, it's a mindset of a child. Those who did not, those people who I felt violated me, I'll make sure I'll get even. Okay. And the
Okay.
only way to do that is for me to become somebody.
So this is like you need to prove yourself to the rest of the world and those people who made things bad for you, right? Okay. So
And
what was the tipping point? So you got married, you had children, and then this thing didn't happen when you got married. It happened much later. That change that you experienced. So tell us about that.
I just wanted to add to that it did not stop. Meaning, when I got married, I also had a different ulterior motive. Meaning, I got
Wow.
married because I thought I'm gonna be rich because of the status of my husband. And then when I was working, also I also worked in a corporate. I was also an officer. My my focus is just to be promoted, promoted, regardless if I hurt people, or regardless if I don't give respect to my husband. All my focus then before was I need to become a millionaire at around age 26 to 27.
That's a
And
very
it's
young age, right, to be a millionaire, and you must have worked really hard. Carry on, please.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And now because of that, I remember my life is just focused on creating money or making money.
Mm, mm, mm,
And
mm,
I
mm.
forgot about values for my family. And I succumbed to immoral relationships. I succumbed to unending pride, unforgiveness. And now, if I look back, I don't know how I'm able to carry all those guilt and shame, because all those happened in secret, meaning I know I'm taking advantage of different people. I don't mind. I forgot already the consequence of what I'm
Mm,
doing, but I'm just focusing on I need to get this. I need to be rich. I need to be rich. I forgot about my values at the
mm,
expense of my family, at the expense
mm,
also of my
mm.
legacy.
Wow. When I hear you say those things, I can imagine watching one of those TV dramas, and you're that bad woman, the
I
one that
am.
you're
I
like,
was.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay. How would people describe you then? How would people?
It's really, it varies because you see I'm living a dual life. So
Mm,
for those who know me from maybe
from the
from the
past, right?
school, elementary, they see me as the hardworking person or
Mm,
probably a friend. But for my employees, because I also became an entrepreneur of different businesses. Maybe they see me as the bad boss because I usually lash out at them. They were my outlet of all my frustrations from
oh,
all my wrong choices. When I
oh.
was employed, maybe during my corporate life, they see me as someone really not a caring leader because I was focused with my own success,
So
not
it's all
really.
about you, right? It's all about you before.
It's a self-centered person. In the family, probably it varies because in to my in-laws, I'm showing a goody
Mm.
goody daughter-in-law.
Oh,
In my well, at least for my own family, probably they see me as the hardened heart daughter or sister because I really made sure that they will feel that I am angry with what's happening in our
so you
dysfunctional
you
family.
have this tension with your families because you want to prove to them wrong or something like that. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then there are also set of groups like probably we call it the association. I am
Mm.
the very generous goodie member who donates because I use good works to create my name. I use camaraderie report to create a name. But I realized the reason why I was very tired that time because I've created different persona. Meaning, I have to remember who I was in the
Wow.
family. I have to remember who I was in an association, and I have to remember who I was already in the business in my employees. I even
Mm.
have this feeling. Dean, I always tell myself, even if I wanted to change already, they will not even believe because what they have experienced in me is someone bad already. So why change anyway?
That's
It
right.
was
Yeah.
how I think before. It was very shallow. I focus on the what's happening around, and that I don't even focus about my true identity,
But do
my
you even know what's your true identity at that point? Did you know what
no,
was the true you inside? Yeah. Because though,
no,
as you were describing how you were, one word came to my mind to describe what you were. The word was manipulative. So you
yes.
manipulated people just so that you can become that millionaire at the age of 26 or something like that.
Yes,
Am I right?
I was
Wow.
controlling and manipulative. However, then I was not really aware of my true identity as a person.
Yeah.
And that being clueless makes me now create who I wanted to become n- according to how people will accept me. So
Mm,
now, for example, for the businesses to be successful, which is anchored to my mindset that I need to be rich,
mm.
I need to create a facade that I am in control of the businesses. So I cannot be seen as soft hearted, I cannot be seen as vulnerable. So I
So
have to create,
this is the mistake that a lot of people have, right? They think that the only way to be in control is to be hard. And if you're
yes.
soft, you are basically not in control. But actually, this is not true. I mean, I'm sure now you know. Okay, carry on. Sorry, it's so interesting.
And yeah, and even in my friends, I have to also like um, even invent. Imagine I have created story that I have helped people that just to live or because I was imagining I need to become that persona
That
who
perfect
is
person, right?
successful and peaceful. So I'm trying to really cancel. I want to use the word cancel and deny my past. That's why I'm trying to create a new one. Okay.
Mm,
I did not know before my real identity, my true identity. So my source of confidence is coming from properties, coming
mm.
from position, from the balance of my bank account, and from how they talk about me and how they remember me. So now this is how I am. I change from time to time. Sometimes I have to carry it on my own strength. I have to, how are they talking about me? I stalk all my employee social media account to see if they
Wow.
are, yeah, if they are talking about me nicely or not. I'm just like that. I'm like a CCTV to everyone, checking if I'm having a good reputation or not. And it's
I
a
can
very
understand.
heavy, very
Yeah, I can
heavy,
understand
very
when you
heavy.
say it, it's really tiring. I mean, imagine
Yes.
doing all these things and it's always at the back of your mind, thinking about what are people saying about you, what are people, talking about you. Wow. Okay,
Yes.
let's go to the transformation part, right? So what was that tipping point? What switched and then you wanted to change?
When I learned from a certain group or a study what my real identity is, that I am unique, that I am valued, and that I am actually by grace already saved, meaning I don't need to prove
Mm.
anything anymore. And I don't need to actually fill in my heart because I realize I really have so much in my heart. It's a lot of clutter. So when
I love
I
that word clutter, right? Because it's taking up so much of your space inside for you.
Yes. So when I learned that who I really am in the
Mm.
eyes of God, and
Mm.
who and what's the consequence of my sins or
Okay,
what I've
so
done.
seems like
Yeah.
you the tipping point was when you started to get involved in your religion, but um, but what made you want to go to bring yourself to that environment to begin with? Because where you being so hard on yourself and everyone else, I would think that you like what you said, you deny and then you just stay in that comfort zone of anger, hate, or whatever you call it. What made you come out?
Okay, what made me come out is I realized number one, actually I don't have a vision during those times. That's why
Ah,
my day-to-day activity is based on what's really happening around.
mm.
So when I understood and discovered the brutal truth of who I really am, I began to understand my ending. So an ending is a beautiful, beautiful vision. Okay, I've created a vision for myself out of understanding my uniqueness, my talent, my purpose, and my identity. So everything now, that everything I do is based on visionary choices and decisions. I don't anymore go with the what's happening now around me. I don't anymore make the challenges make them look bigger, because the vision is bigger, the ending is bigger than my current challenges. And
So it
that
seems
helped me
like,
focus.
sorry,
Yeah, that helped
seems
me
like
focus.
everything that you do today, you see whether it will map onto what you want to become in the future, or what you want to end up as, right? And that
Yes.
sounds a lot more, for lack of better word, strategic,
Yes,
right?
it is strategic, because
Yeah.
the ending now, I mean, the vision is now dictating the habits that I want to create, that will work for me. Because without the vision before, I procrastinate anytime, I delay things, or even with challenges, I just decide left and right. But with the vision, very clear vision, I see things differently. For example, now, okay,
Yes.
I can always say no to interviews and come out in the open, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because the vision is stronger than the temporary fear or probably apprehension that, wow, will they talk about me? Will it affect again my reputation as a professional speaker? Will it affect my courses or even
Mm-hmm.
my training session? But
Mm-hmm.
the vision is very clear. So now what I do is just to, okay, I'll have to just be authentic, because that's what we need to do. We just need to be authentic. I embrace the mess in my life, and because that mess now became my message, and I make sure that other people will also discover the truth that I have discovered. So the world is now bigger than before. Before, my world is just
Ah,
about money. It's just about reputation. It's just about,
you're just looking at it like this, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm talking to you, friends who are watching in. If you have any questions, just type it into the comments. There will be like a one, like lag. I think it's about half a minute or 1 minute. But when I see it on my screen, I will post it to Tony. All right. Okay, I'll carry on with you, Tony.
sure.
How long did this? I got two questions now in my mind. How long did this transformational process take place? And second, I'm very curious. You did say that you had a few extramarital affairs just now. How did that? How did you reconcile that? Because if I put myself in your husband's position, I think that's going to be so painful. So share with us.
First step that I remember I did is
Mm.
to acknowledge that I really don't have the power. I don't
Ah,
I cannot do it, meaning I'm just human. I cannot do it. I cannot confess, I cannot come
mm,
out in the open, and I cannot forgive myself.
mm,
It's really a struggle to control your, because we can train our brain what to entertain. We can we
mm,
can really create a mindset or
mm,
destroy a mindset. So
mm,
me, I chose to create a mindset that will center to that I have no power. So when I now acknowledge that I have no power over my past, I cannot reverse it. I cannot also control, and because I'm coming from a controlling nature woman, it's not so easy to accept the truth that I
yeah,
have no
yeah.
power, right? So I don't have power over the consequences, and I don't have the power over people accepting me for what I've done. So I have acknowledged also who the God has the power. So I now succumb to activities. Well, not really succumb. I want to use choose. I chose activities and learnings focusing on knowing Him more. And because I understood, and until now I understand that He is my only source for my confidence, and He is the only one who can actually turn things around.
That's
Now,
beautiful. Yes, correct.
yeah. So I now began to also accept that I cannot control people to forgive me. I cannot
Wow,
control
that
people to accept me.
that is such a powerful statement, because a lot of us, we suffer inside because we think that we need to hear someone say that they have forgiven us. But you're saying that no, that is not within your power, and you just leave it up. Now I know you found your transformation in your religion, but I think it applies to any religion, and it applies to spirituality, because when you say things like I don't have the power, not power of the past, and I think power of the future also, right? So you kind of let go. Am I right? You let go, and then that letting go makes it feel so easy, so light for you. I have a very good question from Bhavani Peresami. So let me just add it there. Okay.
Hello,
So,
Bhavani.
so Tony, what would you advise to someone? How does one start to forgive themselves?
Okay. First, it's a 3A, okay? 3A. First, you need
Wow.
to be aware. We need to be aware what really happened, okay?
Mm,
Because we don't know what to act on if we are not aware what happened in the past, why it happened. So awareness is really a very important stage, and we do not drop any aspect of your life, Bhavani. We just consider everything from childhood to even why the parents did that, okay? After being aware, we have to admit that it happened. We
that's
have
the
to
second
admit,
A. Admit.
yes,
Yeah.
admission. We have to admit what I'm telling you now, which is we don't have the power to change what happened. And we
Mm,
also don't have actually to admit also that we can only control ourselves and not others, not even the things that are happening around us. So the admission
wow.
is very important. Now the action part is also something that others don't go through. They live for so many years just being aware, and
Mm,
maybe admission is not for all because many are still denying that I don't deserve it, that it should have, it's wrong choices of my husband, my friend.
mm, mm, mm,
So you expect also people will have a hard time, or maybe many will have a hard time jumping to the action part because admission is something that is already challenging them. Many are into
mm,
denial.
mm,
Now that you are knowledgeable, awareness, and you admitted already that this is what can I can only control and the rest I cannot. Then you make choices, because remember, the right thoughts will
mm,
create
mm,
the right emotion. So if you are thinking incorrectly, it will just give you bitterness, na never ending. I want to get even. I want to create another facade. I want to cancel my past.
it's
But
like
if
a vicious cycle, right?
it is
Yeah.
really. And yeah, and after that, you now make sure that we also know the truth, because the
Mm,
truth, if it's anchored in the, well, it's a redundant word. If you have anchored your thoughts on the right truths, okay, or the
mm,
ultimate
mm,
truth, it will now make you be bold to put into action what you need to put to action. In
mm.
my case, I have strengthened my relationship with God, and I made
Okay.
sure my choices are 100% obedience to Him, not to myself, because then I got used to um, adoring
Control.
myself, yeah, adoring
Oh,
myself,
okay, okay.
putting myself as the best person. No more. And I have become selective of whom to listen to, which
Mm,
books to read. I just made sure that these are the truths, because I now understand that my thoughts should be anchored to the right truth. Otherwise, I will have the wrong feelings, I will have the wrong choices, and I've been there for maybe 40 years.
wow.
I
And
compute
and
my age, yeah.
it's okay. You look gorgeous for your age, whatever age that you are. So how do the people in the past react to this new Tony? Did you have
Okay.
to deal with a lot of resistance, like they can't accept it and they're like, who do you think you are now that you're also nice and whatever, 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 that kind of narrative. Yeah.
This is how I dealt with those. I mean, all the
Mm,
people around me. First, remember the AAA. I am
mm-hmm.
aware that I cannot control their thoughts. So, what I did for all this time that I am transforming myself, which is not an overnight thing, I focused on my vision. I'm just focused on my vision. So, whether I hear not so good words about me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whether I hear social media posts which are seemingly not good for my reputation, I am no longer affected, because I know who I am. I understand who I am, and I stick to that. I stick to the vision and the purpose. So I'm not wasting time anymore. I now just study. practice when God impressed in me that yes, my talent is speaking and my talent is training. I did not anymore aspire to become somebody who I am not. So
You
I
know what?
just
I think what you're saying is once you find your true self, you don't feel the need to prove yourself anymore.
no more.
You don't even have to prove that you're a nicer person, right? You just
Yes.
keep going forward. That's
And
beautiful.
aside from that, I did not also drop my past because I want them to see that transformation is possible. I wanted to give a message that uh, there's hope is possible. There's really hope. Change
Mm,
is possible for good because many people also changed on the other
of course, yeah.
direction. What
Yeah,
else? That we all have talent because sometimes we copy, right? We copy somebody else's talent, somebody else's style,
that's right.
and
Yeah.
we don't need to because we just need to accept who we are and embrace. Because sometimes we are stuck with just accepting, but we don't embrace. Me, I have
Mm.
accepted who I was and who I really am, and I'm embracing that this is my talent. And I have also embraced, by the way, my limitation. I have to. So now I don't anymore dread myself overnight and
Mm.
or do things that I cannot really do because it's not my talent. It's not
So it
my
seems like you're saying
strength.
that to be totally true to yourself, you don't just look at the good parts of you, your talent, because we all have talent. It may be
We
different, but
do.
we all have it. But we
Yes.
also kind of accept that we are not good at some things and
Yes.
just accept it,
And
right? And
to
just be comfortable
accept
with it.
right and to accept that entails humility, which I don't have before. Remember, I was so proud. So
Right.
when I changed, that is one thing that I saw happening in me. I'm beginning to be humble, and when I became humble, that's the only time that I actually embraced my limitation. So now I ask for help. I
But you
ask
see,
for collaboration. Yeah,
a lot of people look at humility, being humble, as a weakness. So now you're saying it is a source of strength. So
it is.
how do you see humility now? Like
Hum-
yeah,
Humility
how
for
did you
me.
use it? Yeah.
Okay. Humility is a vital trait. It's a very important trait of a leader because what I see myself, I have become an influential leader, and that's what I teach also that humility and love is very important. While we thought that leadership is about toughness, control, and authority, it's really about influence, inspiration, and encouragement. So we cannot
Mm.
do that when we're not humble. When we want to we cannot give out what we don't have, right? So we need to encourage ourselves that, okay, this is what you can do because it's your talent, and this is what you cannot do. That's why we need to ask help.
That's right. Because when you accept that you are not good all round, then you start to reach out, right? And
Yes.
ask for help and connect with people better. I'm still very curious about one part.
Okay.
How did your your husband and your children work through this? Because they are the closest, they are probably the most affected. Yeah.
Yes, and they are also the reason why I am with you now. Okay, all right.
Okay.
We have developed a love triangle. Can I just share to you what the love
Sure,
triangle is?
sure.
So, me, I did not focus on dealing with my husband and dealing with my children. I know because I know I cannot change them. But even my husband, did not also do the same. He knows that he cannot forgive me. My children knows
Wow.
that what I did is very painful. So we developed the love triangle between us and God. Okay, and
Mm,
everything just changed dramatically. Something that we
mm,
cannot explain. But meaning they also went through the AAA. They got aware that my husband
mm.
has a story, I have a story, so we cannot judge each other. We cannot judge the wrong choices that we had. And then we embraced also our identity. It has to be all of us. Of course, it's not an overnight thing. We went through some stages where we don't talk, but we did not decide to leave home. We decided to stay home. And my husband forgave me not because I deserve it. He forgave me because he honored God. Same with my children.
Wow. So it seems like when you have a higher belief in a higher being, spirituality, God, as you put it, things can work out in much better ways, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
because you don't now expect anymore from yourself, knowing that you cannot do it. You now depend on the right source. And that's what happened to us. We just sometimes we fight because we remember painful moments and we
That's
pray
right.
together. Yeah. And we
So
just
you still bring up the so-called bring up the past now and then.
that is a choice that we both made before. We do not
Mm,
bring back the past. Why? Because we believe we cannot change it. So we don't bring it back
that's
because
right.
we
That's
cannot change it. So we just move forward and every day depend on God for our strength because it's not easy. It's not easy, Dean. It affects work. It affects the way you see the people around you when you are still transitioning.
right.
However, I believe that when all the family members have the same thinking,
Mm,
it will have the same emotion and it
mm,
will eventually have the same action. We have different levels. My children may have experienced also some conversation with classmates and teachers. My husband probably in his office. But we agreed to focus on one source, and that is the only confidence. And we agreed also not to bring back the past because we cannot change it. It's very easy. You can always say, because you did this. But the truth is, when you want to now think rightly, we really cannot change it. We really cannot change it.
yeah.
But what we discussed is how to correct the lapses. For example, I have discussed with them, this was my view of success before, and I'm
Mm,
sorry. Forgive me for that. Now, I cannot change overnight, so you have to remind me when I'm beginning to be so workaholic again, when I'm beginning to be clinging on my previous coping skills again.
mm,
Please
mm,
remind me. And they
mm.
do. Singapore is a place where we are always at. So whenever I go along Orchard Road to buy expensive, they would say, "Why are you here?" Okay, I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna look around." So they remind
Okay.
me. So we
So
begin to be accountability partners.
nice. You know what? I'm so glad you shared this. You're so honest because a lot of people have this impression that when you want to go into a transformational process, it's overnight, it's fast, and then you just move forward. But what you're saying is real. It's like you tend to relapse, and then you just need all that support system to keep going forward, right? That
Um,
that
that
that is something that
that
people need to know. Yeah.
Yes, that will really happen if you don't have a vision. You tend to entertain temporary thoughts or
Mm,
feelings
mm, mm,
that
mm.
will actually destroy your day, right? Or
Wow.
make you out of focus. But when you are really looking at a vision, or at least you know that there is a vision, you
Okay.
stick to it. So you don't you get to talk to yourself, no, I will not entertain that because
Well,
that's a
well,
deception. Yeah.
have you ever thought like, you know what, how I was before? It's so much easier. This is too hard. I want to go back to that. Has that ever occurred to you?
Okay, surprisingly, no.
Oh, okay, that's
I,
good.
I want to explain. I want to explain the freedom, the freedom that I attained out of being authentic, out of admitting and accepting who I have been. I cannot compare the peace that I got out of that freedom. And now
Mm,
that we are holding on to that peace and joy and the level of contentment in the family, none of us are seeing this transformation as difficult. It is something that is exciting, hopeful, because we don't anymore look at how people will react or maybe how people will talk about us. We are
mm,
focusing on who who may be inspired out of our story, who will
right.
embrace that hope, that there's hope out of
And
hearing, let's say,
that's
my
why
story.
you are speaking about it right now. You are a
Yes.
professional speaker. You speak about this on stage, and I think it takes a lot of courage. Friends, I'm talking to you now. If you have any questions, I can take one more question because it's so good. It's gone way past 30 minutes, but I'm not going to stop because what you're sharing is so good, right? So, one more question. Let's turn the table around, right? What if we meet someone who was like how you were, driven, very narrow, focused on money, material things. Um, how should we deal with this person? Because of course the obvious way to deal with it is like, oh, stay away, or we tend to, fight with them. Do you have any ideas on that?
Okay, first we listen because we don't know what mindset they have, so we cannot also like tell them this is wrong and right. We acknowledge whatever they are feeling. If they're angry, we acknowledge. And
Mm,
then after listening, definitely we will hear something that there is a story. So the best way is to acknowledge their state of life now. We cannot go against
mm,
it. And
mm.
then we can share our story because people may not accept a teaching because what they thought is also correct. So
Right.
what they may think about what you will teach them may also be not correct. But no one can tell you that your story is wrong. So the most that
That's
we
so
can
good.
do,
Yeah.
yeah, so the most that we can do is to share our story of hope, to share our story of victory over the challenges, and to share the story of vision that how you are able to get over. So
Okay, I got
it's a story versus story. Yeah.
just, but don't fight. Story
Yeah. So
versus story,
again,
right? Yeah.
story and story. All right.
Story and find how we can get a
Yes.
common ground. I got a very interesting question. Let me just post it. So Jega is asking, sometimes we said what we want and we accept it. But when we come in contact with peers, we tend to compare and ask ourselves if we are not moving fast enough. How do we manage this yo-yo effect?
Okay. How to
Because
manage the yo-yo?
I think our brain cannot stop from comparing us with others, right? And usually we tend to compare with someone who's more successful or appears to be more successful. Yeah.
Correct. That
What do you think?
actually that actually is rooted to your self-confidence. How you the self-worth and self-confidence will now make you compare or not compare. Because when you know that you are enough, when you know that you cannot compare because your strength, your weakness is not the same as them, and your purpose is also different, you now get out of the yo-yo because you know that yo-yo is not anymore applicable to you,
Mm,
right?
mm. So it is the belief in your vision, I think, that stops the yo-yo effect, right?
The belief in the vision and your self-confidence, because the vision can only happen when you have the right version also of self-confidence, because our confidence can also have distorted view. When we have
Ah,
the wrong view of our confidence, it will affect everything, because it is the confidence that puts you to action. So you can just
well
imagine
said.
if it's distorted view, if it's a wrong view of confidence, you are either delaying action or putting yourself down always whenever you go into that yo-yo effect.
Mm. Wow, this is quite cool. Okay, so we have to end soon. So, any final thoughts or advice to someone out there who might be dealing with the mistakes of the past and they are carrying around guilt, shame, fear, like exactly like how you did? What would be your advice or thoughts about this?
Always remember that it is not really all about you. It
Oh,
is
that's right.
about a bigger story. It's about a bigger purpose. So what we need to do is just be aware of what happened and then admit it. Let's not deny it. And then now fill in your thoughts with the correct ones, with the truth
Yeah,
of
the
your
three A
identity.
that you mentioned, right?
Yes.
Aware,
And then
admit, and action. Yeah.
because of that, you are now focusing in inspiring, influencing, and creating positive impact. So everyone can be extraordinary inside and out.
Wow. So, friends, I'm talking to you now. Like what Tony said, you can be extraordinary. Uh, you just need to have a big vision for yourself. So stop comparing. And if you think that these inspiring stories, inspiring messages that Tony has just given us over almost 50 minutes, wow, I didn't even feel it. So um, please share this video so more people can be inspired, more people can know about Tony. And if every one person change, transform to become better, I think the world will slowly become a better place, right? This
Yes,
all based on one. So Tony,
definitely.
thank you so much for spending time with us and saying yes to this interview, because I think you have just inspired a lot more people, and definitely people who don't know you in Singapore will know you now. And I'm sure they will want to come and see you when you're on stage somewhere. Thank you. And for the rest of us, have a good day ahead.
Thank you to everyone too.